At this point, Prince Max of Baden, he's trying to openly seek peace, and he's trying to talk with President Woodrow Wilson. The worst president in the United States. That's my opinion. I hate this guy. And Wilson, he gives some preconditions to start the talks, and one of them is to end the submarine warfare, which is a big precondition. Despite Admiral Scheer not wanting this to happen, at this point, Admiral Scheer is chief of the Admiralty staff. The government does agree on October the 20th, and Scheer decides on his own authority to order Admiral Hipper, who's now the commander of the High Seas Fleet, to prepare for a decisive battle, basically, to just go out in a blaze of glory. And yeah, the High Seas Fleet, they're concentrating around Schilling Roads, just off of Wilhelmshaven, to prepare for what they think is going to be like the Gotterdammerung battle or something. And yeah, the sailors don't really like the idea of a suicide mission. So countless begin refusing to go out because, I mean, it's a death voyage. Most of the German sailors and soldiers see that peace is inevitable. There's going to be negotiations. So during the night of October the 30th, some sailors aboard the third battle squadron, they simply decline to weigh anchor. It's insubordination. There's a lot of tussling going about with superior officers and the sailors. This is aboard ships like the Thuringen, the SMS Kaiserin, the SMS Helgoland. And the mutineers basically get the commanders on board with them, and the third battle squadron heads back to Kiel. When they return, Vice Admiral Hugo Kraft, who I think he was the leader of the third battle squadron, if I'm not mistaken, he does a successful maneuver with his battleships around the Helgoland Blight, and he tries to kind of regain the control over his crews. However, tensions still escalate. There's arrests of sailors, like on the Markgraf. The mutiny is still going on, and now in Kiel's canal, the sailors are starting to arrive there, and they're producing basically just a full-blown mutiny. On November the 1st, about 250 sailors, they gather in Kiel to demand their comrades' release. So it's almost identical to the movie theater incident. But they're rebuffed. It leads to more protests the day later. Leaders like Karl Outlet and Lothar Popp, they call for a meeting on the 3rd, uniting like thousands at this point under the slogan Frieden und Brot, peace and bread. So now this is like a full-blown uprising. They want to end the war, basically. And this is on the sailors' behalf. But it extends eventually to the soldiers and then to the workers who are already striking at this point. And I think in terms of numbers, you see maybe like 40,000 mutineers altogether start going through the streets. And they start going to all the major German cities. They have a list of demands. It's going to be a full-blown revolution. And it all starts here. And I don't want to go through the history, but this is, where Erich von Ludendorff starts the famous stab in the back myth that leads to the rise of Adolf Hitler and stuff. So it all kind of starts here in a lot of ways. But in the back thought of that, further into the future, when we're actually coming to the real armistice of November the 11th, 1918, the Entente powers are now going over the fine details. They got Germany to agree that the U-boat fleet has to be surrendered no matter what, because obviously it was the U-boats that were causing the most damage to Britain. But the status of the German surface fleet, it's kind of up in the air. They don't know what they want to do with it. The French actually just want to take all the ships, and the Italians too are on board with that. The British, they want to get rid of all the ships because that obviously benefits them. They want to have the biggest navy no matter what. So the Entente aren't even in agreement as to what they're going to do, But
Obviously, the French want to take away the ships, like free capital ships, right?
well, I mean, like the French are like, Germany shouldn't exist. It should be 100 different small little countries. We should go back to the 1600s. Like the French are the reason why World War II happens. Way too
I mean,
draconian.
I think if I'm not mistaken, it was only France that really pushed for the very harsh Versailles conditions. Like Britain and the United States wanted to punish Germany, but they were willing to be quite, moderate
Yeah,
comparatively.
To
yeah,
be
no,
It's only
fair,
like France.
we have to admit that the war was fought on their land. They suffered way more than the British and the Americans. So
But
it's
it
a
is
little
actually
bit
said that
understandable.
like before the German Spring Offensive, the way they made that peace treaty with the Russians, right, who had started the Civil War in the 70s, like the way they just stripped away everything, because the Germans were like kind of wanted to get that negotiated peace, but they are controlling. When you put such a harsh treaty, you've not really endeared yourselves to good negotiations as well, though.
Yeah, I guess
Just got to point that out.
that is a good point because the treaty in the East was ridiculous. But I mean, the Russian Empire completely collapsed. It's incredible how quick that goes down. But yeah, so the Germans are facing the French guns at the negotiating table. The Germans on November the 12th are instructed to take the High Seas Fleet out to sea because something is going to be done with it. And I noticed that when I was doing some research on this, the Entente powers threatened to occupy Helgoland, which I don't exactly understand why that's a big deal. But anyways, so they were threatening to occupy Helgoland, which I've been to. It's an interesting place. And the mutiny's still in the background ever since. Well, I mean, it's going to be going on actually for a few years. So that's always on in the background. But the German ships are then told that they're going to proceed to bring themselves over to an area where they're going to be interned and watched by the Entente powers. It's mostly Britain. And, well, von Hippe doesn't want to lead this because it's disgraceful. He refuses to do so. So he allows another one, Rear Admiral Ludwig von Reuter, to go do it for him, which, again, when the Germans are negotiating, it's the same thing the politicians end up doing. They just keep forcing someone else to sign off. So it's interesting. But on the 21st, 70 German ships, they're escorted off. And by the 25th, 27th, they're moving into the Scapa Flow area. And there's going to be more ships that are going to follow. But while these ships are interned, they're basically just out at sea. The Entente, they're the ones who have to provide the food and to watch over them and everything. And apparently the food quality was terrible. This is the British, so I would assume it was terrible food.
One moment, I'll just share one image. So they're just like showing the the way the fleet was interned as well.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, keep that up.
And I think just one thing also, I'm just trying to be a bit nice to the Brits also, is Scapa Flow is a great harbor, but it has nothing else.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it wouldn't
it's
matter
not
for
like
the Germans. They're not allowed to leave the ships, but yeah.
True, but I'm just talking about from the point of getting really crap food. Like let's also be a bit considered on that front.
But they do get brandy, and they get rations of cigarettes or cigars. So I mean, it's not awful.
It's one of the things of soldiers and sailors, like guys, cigars, cigarettes. It's kind of ironic.
Who cares about good food when you can just smoke it out?
Yeah, exactly.
It's so funny that I just gotta say this. Montgomery knew the value of the cigars and cigarettes to his men, but absolutely detests anyone smoking in his face, even if it was the King of England.
Yeah. Recreation, it's quite limited because the Germans are not allowed to go onshore, and they're not allowed to visit the other German ships. So they're just cooped up this whole time. The British provide doctors.
I'd be bloody pissed, right? Like you're just stuck on a ship like this.
Yeah. The British provided doctors, but they refused to provide dentists, which again, pretty funny that it's the British that are refusing dental care. It's a little ironic. And in the background of all of this happening, the Paris Peace Conference is still looking over the fine details, which I think a lot of general public don't realize. This was a long process. It wasn't like in one day we all these negotiations and then the terms. It took a long time. And the fate of those ships was always in the background of that peace conference. The French and Italians, like I said, they wanted to take about a quarter of the ships each. The British were like, no, let's just destroy them. The Germans were not permitted to scuttle their fleet under the armistice articles. Obviously, it seems like a no-brainer. However, Admiral Erich Raeder, that guy.
I just got one question though. I can understand France at least try to demand a quarter of the fleet because let's not deny that they contributed a lot more soldiers and such.
Yeah.
Why Italy?
Because Italy is just
They,
the biggest shithead in all these conflicts. Like,
I mean, literally, the only reason the Italian front even existed in 1917 after a while was, the British and French sending in 12 divisions and getting Cardona sacked.
yeah.
Hmm?
No, the
Well,
Italian
they definitely needed more battles of the Isonzo to be influential.
20 more.
You mean so that we have more maps to play later?
That as well.
So our friend later on, Admiral Elreda, he's writing to Reuter secret orders. He's saying, no matter what, we got to scuttle the fleet at all costs. And the German crews are gradually being reduced, so a lot of them are being released back to Germany.